we have a lot of poverty, and we have a lot of folks that are really struggling.
Poverty is in the background in the high country.
It would be difficult to explain to some of the riders that we have here why they couldn't come ride because we didn't have the money.
There's a higher level of unemployment, and there's no question that that's creating a tremendous financial burden, particularly on people with low incomes.
On an average night, though, we have been exceeding capacity at the emergency shelter.
You cannot see someone who's hungry and know that you have the means of resolving that problem and not do it. And I have to say, if not me, who?
Our vision statement at the Mass General Store says, we have traditions for a better community, a better world, and a better future. And by giving to the United Way and the agencies that it supports, it helps us to help those in our community who are in need of our help.
As a community, we're called on to serve those that are facing challenging times. And I think a community is healthier when all of its people's needs are met.
I've been up here in the lovely mountains since the summer of 1999. We spent about 4 or 5 months here in the mountains, and the rest of the time we spent in South Florida. I believe in helping other people, and of course Exxon Corporation was a big supporter of United Way, so from almost day one, 30-some years ago, I was contributing to United Way.
Our company supports the United Way campaign in every community that we serve. We don't put pressure on our people to give. That is a choice of their own. However, we try to make them aware of the needs in our communities, and certainly we help them to understand how United Way is a great organization that can touch so many parts of the community.
I believe in United Way because you can make one contribution and it serves many, many different charities. And I can see how one contribution to United Way will serve 35 or 40 different other charities. And it makes it easier because just simple keeping track, I'm writing 35 or 40 different checks. It makes a big difference just writing one.
We obviously appreciate, those larger gifts, which would be our leadership type gifts of $1,000 or more. And those are important, they're all important, but really what the grassroots efforts of any United Way agency, but especially High Country United Way, is how everybody collectively, if this entire community gave their fair share, which is 1 hour per month of their salary, we would easily be able to raise over $1 million.
We're so fortunate to have a great employee base who realize that it is important to support our local communities that support us.
The recession has transformed middle-income families into low-income families. And we've had a huge number of new families come in and sign up.
These women are invisible to the tourists. When we go off to our hotels and we enjoy just this beautiful area, they go back to very difficult situations.
United Way helps with the basic operating cost of all of the programs at the Hunger and Health Coalition. It keeps food in the food pantry and helps us keep medication in the pharmacy. And basically it helps make things available for people when they come in for assistance.
High Country Women's Fund was formed 3 years ago, and it's an organization, it's an initiative of the High Country United Way, and at United Way we realized that as much funding as United Way can give to agencies, there's still some gap services that agencies just can't do. And so the Women's Fund was formed so that we could raise money to give money to women women and children in a more direct fashion.
I see children who are slipping through the cracks because they can't read. I was blessed. I had a grandchild who had some reading problems, but we were blessed with the finances to be able to have those tested and to find adequate resources to give him the help that he needed. But there are children out there that don't have that.
One little boy went out to the market area to get a snack, and all we had were cupcakes. And so I said, well, you can take the cupcakes, but you also have to have some toothpaste. And he was more excited to get the toothpaste than he was the cupcakes. He said his family hadn't had toothpaste in 2 weeks. You know, people here are experiencing real need. They're going without things that most people consider basic necessities and take for granted.
Blazing Saddles is part of a larger national organization called NARA, which is the North American Riding for the Handicapped Association. And 22 years ago or so, some people up here saw a need for this type of program. Our organization is a little unusual in that it's 100% volunteers. We have one paid employee, and that's our certified instructor. And she works a real job. It's just a part-time thing for her. So we're very heavily dependent on fundraising. Because of the type of organization we are, we don't qualify for any sort of state, county, or federal funding. For each rider that we have, we're required, because of our certification with NARA, to have 3 volunteers in addition to the instructor. There will be 1 volunteer that leads the horse and 1 person on either side of the horse for safety purposes.
When I retired, I realized I had an awful lot of free time, and I thought, well, you know, I could stay at home and read and do puzzles and other things, but I saw people who were hungry. One of my jobs on the outreach committee is collecting salvage food and delivering it to the local homeless shelter in Boone. We have been doing this for the last 8 years. The whole thing started when we were working with our church to prepare one main evening meal. So we went into the deli, a Food Lion, and our job was to do the dessert that day. We asked for a sheet cake, and they said, what do you want on it? And I said, well, make it cheerful because we're taking it to the homeless shelter. The lady behind the deli desk said, I spent 2 months at that homeless shelter. She says, we throw a lot of food away. Maybe you'd be able to do something to rescue that food and deliver it.
Over 80% of our riders are on scholarship. We have a few paying riders, but most of them are on scholarship. One of our more recent riders, he's been with us about a year, he has cerebral palsy. He can walk, although not especially well. He's nonverbal, but he has a smile that will just absolutely light up a Christmas tree. But we have a basketball hoop that's on a stand and little soft rubber balls that we use for them to get some flexibility and work their muscles and stuff. And we discovered that he absolutely loves to shoot baskets. And everybody just broke into tears the first time that he shot a basket and made it. It's always been our policy that we don't turn anyone away because they can't pay. We'd hate to cut back, but you know, that's always a possibility also.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united. Open your heart. Join the movement. Give, advocate, volunteer.